Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you again for joining us today. And inshallah we'll go ahead and get started in just a few minutes. I know usually with us Muslims there's usually a couple of students who are late. So inshallah we'll just wait for I'm not gonna wait for a long time inshallah. I'll just wait for a minute or two until everybody joins inshallah. Okay? And for those also who are kind of at home and you have your binder in front of you, please open up to page 17. But this is where we're going to be starting, inshallah. So page 17, and then we'll start from there. So I'll follow the binder as well as my own notes. So please have them with you, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. We start as always by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for who He is. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to remember Him and use technology that we can transfer our knowledge with each other and share that which we've learned over a weekend not very long ago. For everyone who had joined, again, Jazakumullah khair. And I hope, inshallah, that everyone benefits from these study sessions. This is something that we started last class, and we're going to continue, inshallah, with it until somebody comes and says they're pointless, and then we might stop after that. But inshallah, as long as even one person joins, we're going to continue with these study sessions. And as I promised last time, and inshallah I'll keep promise that very soon, very very soon, inshallah, we're going to have different people doing these different study sessions. So again, you get a little bit of flavor. We get bored pretty quickly nowadays, so we'll try to switch things up, inshallah. So and then maybe one day, myself, I have this dream where we can actually do on-site study sessions, or maybe one massive study session right before the exam where we kind of go through the whole thing together, which is a lot more fun. Alhamdulillah, we've done it before in Houston when I was there, and it was a lot of fun, alhamdulillah. So maybe this is something, inshallah, we'll start in New York very soon. But again, we're all students here. We all have our our busy stuff that's going on in our life. So we'll work together, inshallah, moving forward. So we're starting in page 17, and this is something we kind of left over from last time, and it's basically the question of, is being fearful of hellfire or having hope in paradise antithetical or opposing, right, to our perfection of faith and iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And other questions come into the picture, such as what should I have, more fear or more hope, or should they be equal, right? Shouldn't I just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And so all these questions come into place. First off, the prophets and the companions and the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they all had both. They had fear and they had hope. They had fear of hellfire and they had hope in Jannah, right? And it is part of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us, right? But then again, the question comes, what should I have more? And you see different scholars saying different things. For example, you see Fudayl ibn Iyad, rahimahullah, said that you should have more fear than hope, right? But again, we don't have any proof for that. So, to kind of summarize what Sheikh Walid was talking about during class, and this is his opinion, and this is also opinion that's been stated by Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, and that is, depending on your state and your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your age and your circumstances, this is what controls if you should have more hope or more fear. For example, you're about to commit a sin, right? You're about to do something wrong. If you have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you might think, oh, it's okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving, so I'm going to go ahead and do that sin, right? But that's a situation, that's a state where you remind yourself, no, I fear hellfire, so I stay away from that sin, right? In another situation, you might be very spiritual in class, for example, you go to Umrah, you feel closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Now, having fear in that situation might deter you from getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, in that situation, you should have what? Hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person at their deathbed, for example, right? When somebody is dying at a very old age, they know that they're not going to be around for a very long time, and you've done everything that you could to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout your life. This becomes a situation of having hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And that what's going to, revive your heart as you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So depending on the situation and depending on the state of our faith, we should have hope. We should have hope or fear, right? Depending on that. This is what Shaykh Walid said, and this is also what's been stated by Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. Now, on top of all of this, what truly motivates us is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is knowing who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, right? It's good that we fear hellfire and we hope for Jannah, but knowing the generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what going to motivate us to do that which we have to do, or which we're supposed to do, right? Because the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than paradise. And the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worse than hellfire, right? But again, we should not delete hellfire and Jannah completely out of our life. We should not do that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it for us, just like we mentioned last week, and we mentioned in your class. It's for us, but what we should do is have the love and understanding the nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at top of all of this, right? And that's why the people of Jannah, right, their biggest thing is going to be what? Seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being in the company of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And the same thing for the people of hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. What is going to be the worst punishment for them is what? Not being able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what we all have to keep in mind moving forward, inshallah. Now, from that, we move into page 18, and this when we start talking about hellfire and descriptions of hellfire. And inshallah, I'll try to go through these as quickly as possible. Again, it's a big binder, it's a big class, so inshallah we'll try to do as much as I can today and then the next few weeks, inshallah. So we start with some of the names of hellfire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, says in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 140, as mentioned in the binder, and the end of the verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَامِعُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْكَافِرِينَ فِي جَهَنَّمَ جَمِيعًا. So one of the names of hellfire is Jahannam, and Jahannam means something frowning, something that is very angry, and something that is, that's showing anger to somebody else. And and this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes hellfire, that's being angry at the people of hellfire, right? And actually there is a well in Iraq, as Shaykh was mentioning, that's called Jahm, right? And it's basically where the word Jahannam came from, right? And the Prophet ﷺ, during the Isra and Mi'raj, he saw the angel Malik, And he looked at Jibreel, he was like, who is this? He was like, this is the angel of hellfire. He looks frowning, he looks angry, waiting for the day comes so he can put those who belong to hellfire into hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. The second name of hellfire is Jahim. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 10, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَحِيمِ. Right? The people who disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those are the inhabitants or the companions of Al-Jahim. Al-Jahim is when you light up something, when you basically stir a fire. Right? It's something that has a nature of growing and getting higher. And this is again a description of hellfire that is growing. Right? It's very angry and it keeps lighting up over the time. A third name, this is page 19 now, a third name is As-Sa'ir. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَعَنَ الْكَافِرِينَ وَأَعَدَّ لَهُمْ سَعِيرًا. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cursed the disbelievers and prepared for them a blaze, a sa'ir. A sa'ir is something that you ignite with. Right? And it's something that when you ignite it, it gets stronger and stronger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in Surah Al-Takwir, ayah 12, this is not in the binder, but we went through it in class. Surah Al-Takwir, ayah 12, وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِرَتْ. And when the Jahim is Su'ira means it ignites even more, it gets stronger and stronger. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, Surah Al-Qamar, ayah 47, He says, إِنَّ الْمُجْرِمِينَ فِي ضَلَالٍ وَسُعُرٍ. That the disbelievers are going to be in misguidance, in dalal and su'ur, which is a blazing that is growing, that is igniting more and more. A fourth name of hellfire is Al-Hawiyah. Al-Hawiyah is basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Qari'ah, verse 8 to 11, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ. Right? Hawiyah is basically something that's free falling. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing that the people of hellfire, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, are going to be free falling in hellfire. Right? And once they free fall, they will settle in one place. That's where they belong. Number 5 is Saqar. Right? Saqar, actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Qamar, ayah 48, He says, يَوْمَ يُسْحَبُونَ فِي النَّارِ عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ ذُوقُوا مَسَّ سَقَرٍ. That the people of hellfire are going to be dragged on their faces to hellfire, in hellfire, right? ذُوقُوا مَسَّ سَقَرٍ, which basically means taste the torture and the touch of Saqar. And Saqar is, Shaykh is saying, it's an Aramaic term, it's not an Arabic term, and it means to burn. It means something that burns. Number 6. Again, I'm going through these quickly, and I'm sure you guys all have those in your notes. But inshallah, if you're also taking notes in these, that'll be great. Number 6 is Al-Hutama. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَلَّا لَيُنْبَذَنَّ فِي الْحُطَمَةِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحُطَمَةِ نَارُ اللَّهِ الْمُوقَدَةِ. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that no, he will surely be thrown into the crusher. What can make you know what is the crusher? It is the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Al-Hutama, the word Al-Hutama, Hattama, means to crush something, right? And hellfire is going to crush everything that goes inside it. And even we mentioned that the people of hellfire, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, are going to be so large, right? They're going to be very large in size, right? That even with their size, hellfire is going to crush them. It's going to crush everything that goes inside it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. I hope you guys say Ameen. Number 7, the seventh name of hellfire is Lava, right? And Lava means, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'arij, ayah 15 to 17, كَلَّا إِنَّهَا لَظَى نَزَّاعَةً لِلشَّوَى تَدْعُو مَنْ أَدْبَرَ وَتَوَلَّى. That indeed it's a flame of fire. It is a flame of hellfire, right? It is something that in itself, the flame of that fire in itself is a punishment, right? So the fire is a punishment, and the flame of it and the smoke that comes out of it in itself is burning, right? And the moment it reaches the person, it's going to burn everything in their skin, and some scholars says it will not burn the bones. Just subhanallah, this is incredible. Just the flame of hellfire is going to burn, right? The people of hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Number 8 is Dar al-Bawar. right? Darul Bawar is basically, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا وَأَحَلُّوا قَوْمَهُمْ دَارَ الْبَوَارِ جَهَنَّمَ يَصْلَوْنَهَا وَبِئْسَ الْقَرَارِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ibrahim, ayah 28 to 29, have you not considered those who exchanged the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for disbelieved? They left what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised them so they can disbelieve, and settled their people in the home of a ruin, right? And this is basically, Abdullah ibn Abbas said that this is the place where people are being destroyed. Darul Bawar is basically a place where people are being destroyed or ruined. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Jahannam al-Slawa, indeed it is hellfire that they are going to be in. May Allah protect us. Lastly, the last name is As-Samum, right? Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا وَوَقَانَا عَذَابَ السَّمُومِ. Allah, the people of Jannah are going to say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a blessing, and He protected us, وَوَقَانَا, He saved us from the punishment of As-Samum. Now, what does As-Samum mean? It is a wind that could be very cold or very hot. That it is a wind, right, that is so cold or so hot, but in both situations it burns the face, right? So Samum actually has an opposite. It could have two opposite meanings. It could be very cold wind that burns the face, or very hot wind that also burns the face. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. So these are the 9 names of Jahannam, and make sure you guys are kind of understanding these names, because again, this could be a very potential question in our exam. Also, for this is just kind of FYI, we just alhamdulillah, the academics team put together a quiz. It's like just a practice exam. It's about 30 questions. We have another one inshallah coming up with another maybe 25 or 30 questions, but this is just kind of to get people started, so take advantage of it inshallah. These questions are done by other students, because as some of you might know, that the exam is not, we don't put the exam, right? The mashayikh and some of the people at the Maghrib itself institute, they put the exams together. But our job as a Qabeelah in New York is just to put some questions for everyone, just as practice inshallah, so you can kind of test your knowledge. But please take advantage of it. We send out an email. If you do not receive that email, please let us know. But everybody who attended the class inshallah should receive the email. Alright, you guys having fun? Alhamdulillah. I hope so. I'm having a lot of fun, alhamdulillah, even though we're talking about hellfire, but it's for us to warn ourselves and protect ourselves from it. May Allah protect all of us. The gates of hellfire. Right? Now we're page 21 now. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ لَمَوْعِدُهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ لها 7 أبواب لكل باب منهم جزء مقسوم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed hell is the promised place for them all, and these are the inhabitants of hellfire. It has 7 gates, for every gate of them a portion designated. Now Ali ibn Abi Talib said that the gates of hellfire are 7, and the way he classified is that they're over one another. So there's gate number 1, gate number 2, and so on and so forth. When the first one is filled, right, and then the other one gets filled. The first one is filled, and then the other one gets filled. The other one is filled, and then so on until everything is filled, right? Other narrations or other companions understood that verse is that there was one gate for the disbelievers from the Jews, one gate for the disbelievers of the Christians, one gate of disbelievers from the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the people that the Prophet went from them, the pagans, and so on and so forth, right? So this is the some of the other interpretations. Another interpretation also is that based on the sin, right? So for example, there's a gate for the disbelievers, there's a gate for those who commit adultery, there's a gate for those who steal, there's a gate for those who kill, and so on and so forth. That's again another interpretation. Again, these are all interpretations from the companions. We don't really have specific narration from the Prophet ﷺ. of what these gates mean or what these doors mean, and so on and so forth. But we know it's 7 because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. Right? Also, in the same page 21, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا هُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ عَلَيْهِمْ نَارٌ مُؤْصَدَةٌ. And they who disbelieved in our signs, those are the companions of the left. Ashabul Mash'ama, the companions of the left, over them will be fire closed in. And the meaning of that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once the people of hellfire go inside, it's going to be sealed, right? It's going to be logged on them. It's going to be closed on them, right? And, a lot of people say there's like a little leash at the door. Some of the companions, and some of the mufassirin, some of the scholars said, also that between each gate, there's a travel of about 1 year, right? So between each gate, there's a travel of like 1 year. And then also, some of the companions, or some of the other narrations say that the names of hellfire, like As-Sa'ir, Jahannam, Jahim, and all that, are the names of the doors, are the names of the gates. But again, this is from the companions and the tabi'een, and the tabi'een are our scholars. We don't really have any evidence from the Prophet ﷺ that this is what it means. But again, it's an interpretation that we know. Now, page 22, the levels of hellfire, right? So one thing that we covered in class is that the word darakat and the word darajat, right? Darakat with the kaf is different from darajat with jeen. So darajat are levels of Jannah, of paradise, right? Which is darajat with jeen, which basically means the higher it goes, the better it is, right? So in Jannah, the higher somebody goes, the better they are. Okay? Now, in hellfire, they're called darakat, which is basically the lower you go, the worse punishment, the more punishment. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 145, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ وَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُمْ نَصِيرًا. That the hypocrites are going to be at the lowest level, ad-darki. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses ad-dark, which is basically the lower level, or something that goes down. Okay, I'll repeat it one more time. So, two things. We have darajat with jim, and we have darakat with kaf. Darajat are levels in Jannah, are levels in paradise, which basically means that in these darajat, the higher you go, the better you are. And this is for the people of Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the people of Jannah. Then on the other side, darakat, which are levels in paradise, in hellfire, but they go down. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ, that the lowest level, right? They both in English they mean level, but the difference is in Jannah it goes up, the better you go, the higher you go, the better you are. In hellfire, the lower you go, the worse you are. That's why in hellfire, the least punishment is on the top. So in hellfire, the least punishment is on the top, and the worst punishment is at the bottom, right? And then we also see that in the book in page 22, the Prophet ﷺ says, the least tortured man on the day of resurrection is one underneath whose feet will be placed 1 2 lit coal, and his brain will be boiling, right? And this is the least, right? This is somebody who was the very top of hellfire, because like we said, the levels of hellfire, the lower you go, the worse it gets. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, right? And you can just read the other hadith in page 22 as well. I hope that explains for the sister, I think, that asked to repeat. I'll be more than happy to repeat again, inshallah, if we need to. Okay? So now, the fuel of hellfire, this is page 23. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ عَلَيْهَا مَلَائِكَةٌ غِلَاظٌ شِدَادٌ لَا يَعْصُونَ اللَّهَ مَا أَمَرَهُمْ وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O those who believe, protect yourselves and your families. O those who believe, protect yourselves and your families from hellfire, right? That the fuel of hellfire are going to be humans and stone, right? So the more humans go, the more people go, the more stones go in hellfire, the stronger it gets, right? The more burning it gets, the more and more it gets, right? And some of the companions, Ibn Mas'ud, said that the stones is sulfur, right? And actually, I looked it up right before. I'm just gonna post the link in the chat room here. If you guys are in front of the computer, just click it. This is an actually burning sulfur, and you'll see like it's no joke. Did the link go through? Oh, no, it didn't. Oh, it's not. That's annoying. Oh, no. I was gonna send you guys the link, but for some reason there's like a limit on how many characters you can use. Anyway, just look it up. There's sulfur burning. You'll see it. Just Google it. You'll see the. Anyway, so the sister who's commenting, you want me to repeat the different levels again, or I'm not sure if this is what you mean, but let me know, inshallah. I can explain it again. Okay, so I'll wait. I'll wait until she replies, inshallah, so we move forward. If you want me to repeat it, just say yes or no. Oh, sorry. There's actually, just so you guys know, there's about a 30-second delay between when I'm talking and what you guys see. So if you know, it's a normal delay, inshallah. Okay, so this is the part, right? And then some people might ask, like, why sulfur specifically? And subhanallah, the actual stone, again, it exists on Earth, but the actual stone has a lot of characteristics that describes hellfire. So it smells bad, it burns really quickly, there's a lot of smoke, and it sticks to the body when it burns it, right? So this is this is again, it kind of perfectly fits with the description of hellfire. Also, one of the other things we talked about in the class is that the idols that people used to worship are also going to be fuel of hellfire, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Anbiya, ayah 98, إنكم وما تعبدون من دون الله حصب جهنم أن أنتم لها واردون لو كان هؤلاء آلهة ما وردوها وكل فيها خالدون. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you and that which you believe other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are going to be the fuel of hellfire. حصب جهنم, right? You're going to be that which ignites hellfire. All of you are going to be in there, right? So one of the other things that fuel hellfire as well is the idols that people used to worship. Now we move into the valley and the mountains of hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. And this is Surah Maryam, ayah 59, right? So Surah 19, ayah 59, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they will meet the ghay, right? And Abdullah ibn Abbas says that the ghay is a valley in hellfire, right? And subhanAllah, Shaykh Walid commented on this verse specifically, and he says that we should be very careful if we are messing around with our salah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ, that people came after them, they missed their salah and they followed their desires, right? فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا, they will surely and verily meet ghay, they will be in the valley of ghay. And Shaykh Walid was saying how that if somebody misses their salah regularly, right, or they combine, or they pray really late, or they kind of wait until the last seconds, or they just don't pray at all, it's because of a desire that's being fulfilled in a haram way, And as a result of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preventing them from making a connection with salah. Right? Based on that verse, we should be very careful. Right? Some other narrations said that Aghay is a river in hellfire. Right? And again, that's okay too, because usually rivers run within valleys, so it could be both. You know, a valley that has a river, and that's called called Ghay. Right? Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Kahf, right? Ayah 52, وَيَوْمَ يَقُولُ نَادُوا شُرَكَائِيَ الَّذِينَ زَعَمْتُمْ فَدَعَوْهُمْ فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, and in a day it will tell them, نَادُوا شُرَكَائَكُمْ, call those who you associated partners, right? Invite them over, bring them forward, right? And they will not accept your invitation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to talk about to the people of hellfire, says, call those who you disbelieved, who you associated partners with me, right? And let them come, but they will not come. They will not accept the invitation. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا, and then we put them in a valley of hellfire. Mawbiqa, according to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, is a valley in hellfire. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Humazah, وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. Wail, again, is one of the worst places in hellfire, and is a valley of hellfire. Also, Falaq, so Surah Al-Falaq, we say, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, right? One of the interpretations of the word Falaq is a well in hellfire. Right? And we know there's a lot of valleys, there's a lot of wells in Jahannam. And some of the scholars even say, and I think this is a hadith as well, that the Prophet ﷺ says that to reach the bottom of that well, it takes about 80 years. So you can imagine the depth of that well just to reach the bottom of it, right? Also another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Balad, right? وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْعَقَبَةِ, right? فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ, it's a literally, linguistically, it means a difficult pass or a difficult road. And Abdullah ibn Abbas says that it is, Abdullah ibn Umar says it's a mountain that the people of hellfire are going to go through. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Also, lastly, when it comes to the valleys and the mountains, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سَأُرْهِقْهُ صَعُودًا, right? So I will cover him in a sa'uda, right? Sa'uda, as Abdullah ibn Abbas says, that it's a slippery mountain in hellfire. Every time the sinners ascend, they'll slip down to the bottom. So every time they go up on that mountain, they'll go back into hellfire. They go up and they keep going down into hellfire, right? Which basically, again, it will keep torturing them to go back to the bottom of hellfire. Now, we jump into the last section that inshallah we'll be covering today, inshallah, and that is the specialities of hellfire, right? So now, one of the special things about hellfire is the severity of the heat, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah, Ayah 80, it's a long verse, but the end of the verse, the people of hellfire, or the people who actually, this is the verse was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, where people kind of did not want to fight because it was too hot, and he says, وَقَالُوا لَا تَنْفِرُوا فِي الْحَرِّ قُلْ نَارُ جَهَنَّمَ أَشَدَّ حَرًّا لَوْ كَانُوا يَفْقَهُونَ. That the hypocrites will say, do not go fight, it's too hot. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Prophet, O Prophet, tell them, نَارُ جَهَنَّمَ أَشَدَّ حَرًّا, right? That the fire of hellfire, right? The fire of Jahannam has more heat, right? It's hotter than that, right? And even some of the scholars said that the fire of hellfire, the hellfire is 100 times harder and hotter than that which is in the dunya, right? And Ibn Ata'illah al-Sulami, he says that subhanallah, every day a lot of us enter into hellfire by sinning, right? And we get closer to hellfire every single day by disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Also, we know that in Surah Al-Mu'mineen, Ayah 104, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, تَلْفَحْ وُجُوهَهُمُ النَّارُ وَهُمْ فِيهَا كَالِحُونَ. That fire is going to be, is going to burn their face, right? In Surah Al-Anbiya also, Ayah 39, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَوْ يَعْلَمِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا حِينَ لَا يَكُفُّونَ عَنْ وُجُوهِهِمُ النَّارُ وَلَا عَنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يُنصَرُونَ. Right? that if those who disbelieve, so those who disbelieve, they will truly know by then, right? But it's going to be too late for them, that if they know how much fire is going to burn their face, right? And how much is going to burn their back. And in a day that no help will come to them, right? Nobody can help them because the severity of the heat is unbearable. No one can bear the heat of hellfire, right? It's indeed very severe. Also, we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Insan, and he uses the word zamharira, right? لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا زمهريرا. لا يذوقون فيها but it basically means the heat. And I thought I had it here somewhere. Here it is. لا يرون فيها شمسا ولا زمهريرا. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people of Jannah, right? And he will say that the people of Jannah are not going to be faced with heat or zamharir, right? And zamharir here, according to Ikrimah and Mujahid also, that it's very cold wind, right? It's a very cold wind that burns the people of hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, right? So again, you'll see that it has so right here in the book, Sheikh mentions some of these stuff as well. And then the third characteristic, the speciality of hellfire, is that the severe pain it inflicts on the inhabitants. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Imran, ayah 91, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمْ مِلْءُ الْأَرْضِ ذَهَبًا وَلَوْ افْتَدَى بِهِ أُولَئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ وَمَا لَهُمْ مِنْ نَاصِرِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those who disbelieve and they died at their disbelief, nothing will be accepted from them, right? Even if they give up everything of this earth in gold, right? فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمْ مِلْءُ الْأَرْضِ ذَهَبًا. If they have this whole earth with gold and they give it all up, it's not going to benefit them, right? Nothing will benefit them. Indeed, they will have a severe punishment, عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, a severe pain that's going to inflict on them, right? Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Ma'arij, يُبَصَّرُونَهُمْ يَوْمَ يَوَدُّ الْمُجْرِمُ لَوْ يَفْتَدِي مِنْ عَذَابِ يَوْمِئِذٍ بِبَنِيهِ وصاحبته وأخيه وفصيلته التي تؤويه ومن في الأرض جميعا ثم ينجي كلا إنها لظى نزاعة للشوى. That the people of hellfire are going to try to give up anything that they have, are going to sacrifice their friends, their brothers, their families, everything that they own. They'll just take it, right? Bani, your own child. Imagine, subhanAllah, this is, subhanAllah, may Allah protect us. Wallahi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from hellfire. But it's, the people of hellfire are going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, take my child. That child that we love so much, child that we feel scared to even get inside the kitchen because there might be something cooking inside. We don't want any harm to happen to them. In the day of judgment, the people of hellfire are going to say, take my child. Take him. Burn him. Because of how painful hellfire is, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, nothing could protect you that day. It's already too late. Also, another verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, right? And this is in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, right? Verse 41, 2, 3, and 44. So from 41 to 44, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَصْحَابُ الشِّمَالِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الشِّمَالِ فِي سَمُومٍ وَحَمِيمٍ وَظِلٍّ مَنْ يَحْمُومٍ لَا بَارِدٍ وَلَا كَرِيمٍ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the people of hellfire. He says they are in Samum, right? And Hamim. وَظِلٍّ مَنْ يَحْمُومٍ, right? And this is incredible, subhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when somebody is going through very extreme heat, and it's really hot outside, people seek shelter in three things: water, cool breeze, or shade, right? So when somebody is going through very extreme heat, they have these three things. that could cool them down. Water, heat, breeze, some cool breeze, or a shade. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the people of hellfire, you're going to have all of this. You're going to have samoom, hamim, and dhil. Samoom is what? Breeze, hamim is water, and dhil is shade. But subhanallah, all of these make the punishment worse. Hamim is boiling water. Samoom is hot wind. It's a very, very extreme hot breeze. Wadhil is a shade that's even burning. So even the little hope that they will have, and they would run to that water, they would run to that breeze, they would run to that shade, thinking that it's going to reduce the punishment, the complete opposite will happen. It will increase the punishment of the people of hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Right? And by the way, this could be very cold and very hot as well, as Sheikh mentioned during the class. Also, this is goes on to what we were talking about, and this is the shade of hellfire, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَهُم مِّن فَوْقِهِمْ ظُلَلٌ مِّنَ النَّارِ وَمِن تَحْتِهِمْ ظُلَلٌ. That on top of them are going to be shade of hell, of hellfire, of fire. Right? And also another verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, انطلقوا في ظل ذي ثلاث شعب لا ظليل ولا يغني من اللهب. That run to a shade. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, there is a shade. If you want shade, there is a shade in hellfire. But run to it. Okay? But it's not going to protect you from the fire. It's not going to protect you. It's not going to make the punishment less. Indeed, the complete opposite will happen. It will make it worse. It will make it worse for them, for the people of hellfire. Again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّهَا تَرْمِي بِشَرَرٍ كَالْقَصْرِ. That when they run to that shade, it's going to throw these large stones, these large pieces of stones as extra punishment at them. Right? Again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Another speciality of hellfire, that the pain and the punishment increases, does not decrease. Right? It continues to grow and does not reduces. It doesn't reduce. And then there's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِرَتْ, and when the hellfire is still ablaze, and it kind of keeps increasing on and on. Also, hellfire is very dark. Right? Hellfire is very dark. And subhanAllah, even though it is fire, and you think of a fire, it's something that lights up, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that كَأَنَّهَا جُمَالَةٌ صُفْ, that hellfire, or that fire, is going to be so dark, so there's no light, right? Only the believers will have light. That's why when we're passing, across the sirat, right, the light of that believer is going to guide you through. Is going to guide you through the sirat, right? And Sheikh commented saying that these are people of black hearts. Their hearts were dark, their actions were dark, their tongues were dark, their limbs were dark. Everything about them is dark, and therefore hellfire is going to be dark for them, right? Because they lived their whole life in complete darkness. Last point, inshallah, we'll mention for today is that hellfire breathes, speaks, and sees. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذَا رَأَتْهُمْ مِنْ مَكَانٍ بَعِيدٍ سَمِعُوا لَهَا تَغَيُّظًا وَزَفِيرًا. When hellfire sees the people of hellfire from a distance place, from a far distance, right? They will hear the roaring. They will hear the how furious hellfire is to take the people of hellfire. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that description. Imam Ahmad says that the Prophet ﷺ said, on the day of resurrection, a neck will stretch forth from hellfire. It will have 2 eyes to see, 2 ears to hear, a tongue to speak. It will say, I have been appointed to take care of 3 types of people: every arrogant tyrant, every person who calls on some deity other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and every image maker. Right? So these are some examples of the people of hellfire. I'm not going to go into the details of that hadith. Shaykh already covered it in class. But basically, this proves that hellfire speaks, sees, and breathes. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows it to breathe, right, once or twice a year, because it is so furious, right? It's just waiting patiently for its inhabitants, right? Because it's a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It disobeys, it obeys, Jahannam obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it does not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it wants to eat them, right? It wants to just devour them. And then the last story, inshallah, I'll leave you with one of the most beautiful stories that the Shaykh mentioned during class, and that is the story of Umar and Ka'b ibn Malik. Where once Umar went to Ka'b ibn Malik radiallahu anhuma, and he says, "O Ka'b, khawifna, right? Tell us something to bring fear to our heart." Right? And subhanAllah, you see the companions, they weren't afraid of being afraid. They weren't one of these people like, "Hey man, let's just talk about the good things, it's alright, why gotta be depressing, why gotta talk about the sad part, why talk about the ugly stuff?" But the companions were not like that. And this was not the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. They talked about hellfire. They reminded each other of hellfire. And we see this is just one example. There's a lot of examples that the Shaykh mentioned during class, right? But we see that Umar went to Ka'b ibn Malik. He says, "Tell us something that brings fear to our heart," right? And Ka'b ibn Malik says that in the Day of Judgment, hellfire will be brought near people, and it's going to be very heavily, heavily breathing. So hellfire is going to be breathing very heavily until it becomes very close, right? It becomes very close to the people, and it's going to exhale, right? It's going to exhale in a way that all the prophets and all the shuhada are going to fall on their knees. Again, the prophets know they're going to go to Jannah. The shuhada, they know they're going to go to Jannah. But the exhale of hellfire are going to make them go on their knees, right? And they will fear it so much. They will fear that breathing so much. And they will say, "Allahumma la ukallifuka al-yawma illa binafsi. Allahumma la ukallifuka al-yawma illa binafsi." Oh Allah, I don't want anything except myself to be protected. I want nothing except just myself. I just want to be protected, right? And then Ka'b ibn Malik looks at Umar and he says, "Ya ibn al-Khattab, if you have the deeds of 70 prophets, right, and you think it will save you, it will not save you. This is a moment that's going to be very difficult. And if you have the deeds of 70 prophets, when that moment happens, when hellfire exhales that one breath, it will not save you. To be fearful," right? And then Umar radiallahu anhu starts breaking in tears upon that little comment and that little story from Ka'b ibn Malik. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from hellfire and guide us to all the deeds that make us stay away from hellfire and get closer to Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. With that, our study session inshallah is going to end for today. We're finishing a little bit early. I actually have a midterm today to do. So, but wallah, I planned, can you repeat the dua? Which dua? Allahumma la ukallifuka al-yawma illa binafsi. Right? So the people of, the Prophet and the Shuhada, they will say, Allahumma la ukallifuka al-yawma illa binafsi. Oh Allah, I do not ask for anyone to be protected today other than myself. I do not ask for anyone to be protected today other than myself. Jazakumullah khair, guys. Please study for the exam. The exam is again on the 20th, on Sunday, on the 20th. I believe so. Yes, on the 20th. So Sunday, you have the whole day to take it. Please review the materials. This is very important. This is how we are truly become students of knowledge. Gotta move forward. Share everything that you're learning with everyone, with your husband and wife and whoever's around you, inshallah. Share it with them, and inshallah everybody could benefit. Jazakumullah khair. I really, really appreciate all of you guys joining us today. And again, this is recorded and on the same link. So if somebody wanted to attend and who couldn't attend, you can feel free to share that link with them. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We will have inshallah 2 more study sessions next Saturday and then the Saturday after that. But again, pay attention to some of the emails that we send out. We have some quizzes, inshallah, and we're also working some really good notes for this class, inshallah. So we'll be sharing that very soon. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. Jazakumullah khair, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.